Good morning, grade 5. Today is March 24, Tuesday. Our topic for today is in chapter 6, lesson 2. What is a star? Page 271 in your book. So let's start. Stars are a gigantic ball of very hot gases that gives off radiation. Okay, if you try to imagine or if you're trying to planning to go to sun, okay, that plan is so insane. Why? Because star and the sun is a gigantic ball of hot gases. So you cannot touch it. You cannot land on it because it's a gas. At the same time, it is hot. Very, very hot. Okay, so this long sentences and paragraph, I will summarize it for you. And I will be back to answer the following question. Stars are gigantic ball of very hot gases that gives off radiation. When we're saying give off radiation, meaning it gives off light. That is one of the product of sun. It produces light. When stars are grouped together, we call it as a constellation. Yes, I know that the plural of star is stars with letter S. But when you group that stars, we call it constellation. And by the way, all constellations have their own name. Another information about star is this one. Our sun, the center of our solar system, is a star. The sun is yellow medium-sized star. Imagine our sun is just a medium size of star. The size, or what I mean, the mass of sun is 2 million trillion kilograms. Okay, so that is how heavy the sun is. If you're going to imagine to fit the earth in the sun, you need 1 million times of earth volume to fill the sun. Imagine, that is how big our sun, 1 million times the size of earth. Another classification of stars is the color. You can classify star according to color, temperature, and its brightness. Hot stars are color blue or white. So when you see in the night dark sky, in the sky, a blue or white star, meaning the temperature is really hot. So when you see a red or orange star in the dark sky at night, meaning that is a cooler star. Really, teacher? Star have color? Yes. If you try to use telescope and watch it at night, you can see different colors of stars. So here, it means this is a hotter star, the orange one, and then the red one, this is a cooler. Didn't you know that the color of the star represents also the age of the star? A young star is called a dwarf star. They can be color red, yellow, or white. Our sun is a yellow dwarf size of star, and meaning our star or sun is a young star. A older star are called supergiants. So they are older. The color is red and blue. Okay? Another characteristic of sun is the sun is a fairy ball hot gases that has no hard surface. As I mentioned, you cannot land on it. Why? Because it is not solid. So there is no hard surface. It gives enormous amounts of light. Okay. Next, the outer part of the sun is about 5,500 Celsius. Imagine, it's so hot. That is just the outer. Okay, the inner is more hotter. I will discuss later. Lava and magma, the average temperature is 2000 degrees Celsius. And then it could melt stone, rock, steel. And imagine this temperature, 5500 degrees Celsius. It's so hot. Back to this page, let's answer this one. Number 1, compare the size of the sun to the size of other stars. Compare its size to Earth. The sun is a medium-sized star. It is smaller than the giants and supergiants. The sun is much larger than the Earth. It is it has 1 million times more volume than the Earth, as I mentioned a while ago. Number 2, recognize. How can a scientist determine the mass of the sun? Scientists observe the speed and the shape of the planet's orbit. Of course, if the planet is smaller, it moves faster compared to the other planets that is heavier. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, so I have discussed some characteristic, but let's proceed to this page. Characteristic of the sun. The sun is a very ball hot gas and has no hard surface. It gives off enormous light. The temperature is 5500 in the outer surface, but the inner core temperature is 15 million degrees Celsius. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine how hot it is. The sun atmosphere. Remember the word atmos, it means gas, and sphere is part. Earth has an atmosphere. Same also with the sun. It has an atmosphere. So like Earth, the sun has an atmosphere. As I mentioned, the inner layer is called the photosphere. It gives off light energy. The layer above the photosphere is called the chromosphere. The outermost layer is called the corona. Not the coronavirus. Corona means the outer or the crown. I will show you here in the illustration. The sun atmosphere. So if you're trying to illustrate that one, it looks like this one. The corona or the crown of the star is called the corona. We call it corona because the shape is like crown. Photosphere is the next layer. The outermost layer is corona. The next layer is the photosphere. Photosphere is the one gives us light. Next is chromosphere. And then the middle part is the core. But it doesn't, our core here on Earth is solid, but the core of sun is gas. Okay? So let's proceed to the next page. Solar eruptions. Two types of solar eruptions or sun eruptions here in book is called the solar flare. The solar flare is an explosive eruption of waves and particles into space. I will show you here. Two types of eruption, girls, here. The first that I mentioned is the solar flares. For you to imagine that one, this is just like a volcanic eruption that is happening on Earth. Same also with the sun. Is there any volcano in the sun? No, there is no volcano in the sun, but the gases are exploding. Remember, it's a ball of gas. So, different gases in the sun mixes and combine together, and then the result of that one is explosive eruption. And then we call it as a solar flare. If you try to imagine how it looks like the volcanic eruption. Another type of solar eruption is called the prominences. Prominences look like a ribbon flowing gases flare. Try to look at this one. It looks like a ribbon reaction. So Prominences are the reaction of mixture also of gases that is burning in the sun. So the reaction is like a flaring ribbon. You know the ribbon when you're trying to do the ribbon dance? Okay, so that flowing of ribbon laces in the sun is called prominences. The solar flares is a volcanic eruption. It looks like or it seems like volcanic eruption here on Earth. So let's go back here. Number 3. What are the physical characteristic of the sun? The physical characteristic of the sun is it is a ball of gases, it gives off light, and then it's very hot. That is the physical characteristic. Number 4. Why might space agencies like NASA not want to send astronauts into space during solar flares? Because imagine, girls, if the sun have solar flares or an eruption like this, what will happen to the astronaut? The radiation and then the particles released in the space could be dangerous because it's so hot, and then the radiation could affect the health of the astronaut that might go in the outer space. That's why they try to check when when they could trace it. They have a calculation uh when does the sun will give off solar flares, so that they will not send or so that they will not send astronaut outer space when the sun will have a solar flares because it's very dangerous to the health. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, constellation. As I mentioned, constellation is a group of stars formed in a pattern. So in your book, I know this is very clear. As I mentioned, all constellations have their own name. So we could see this constellation, girls, in the North Pole. Okay, I never been there, but it's a famous star. It's a famous constellation. We call it as a Big Dipper and a Little Dipper. Okay, why do you call it a dipper? The shape is just like a ladle of soup. Look at this one. The shape is just like a ladle of soup. We can see it in the North Pole. At the same time, the main star that you can see here is the Polaris. It says here it is almost 2,500 times bigger than the sun. Imagine 2,500. Polaris, this star, is 2,500 bigger than our sun. It's big. But why can we still see it? Because since they are big and then they give enormous amount of light, we can still see the star even we are far away. Okay. Number 6. Why is Polaris called the North Star? Because it is almost directly above the North Pole. Number 7. How might constellation help scientists study the sky? Constellation make it easier to locate some individual stars. So the reason why they name it so that they can easily locate the other star. So it is just like a landmark. So when you name something or when you name the constellation, you can easily locate it because it has a name already. So it serves as a landmark. So we call it not a landmark, but we call it as a constellation. I will continue this video in the next part. See you there.